I intentionally gave this video a title that looks sort of like I'm hating on the Wii U controller to attract both people who are bashing it and the people who are loving it, because I feel like both groups of people kind of need to hear the message that I have for this video. I actually kind of like the Wii U controller, and I think there's a lot of potential there. However, I do think that the Wii U is going to need a more traditional controller for several reasons. There are rumors that you can only connect one Wii U controller to the console at a time. While it's too soon to know if this is true and how it's going to end up, and there's still time to improve the functionality before the launch of the console, there's some evidence that supports this claim. When they were showing demos with using the controller, all the demos they showed were either single player or had one person using the controller while the other players were using Wii remotes. While discussing how the new controller can work with the Wii remote, Iwata and Miyamoto mentioned how there's now the potential for 5 controllers in a game, 1 player using the Wii U controller and 4 players using Wii remotes. There's also an article that states that Nintendo has confirmed that you can only connect one Wii U controller to the console. Let's just say for a second that all this is wrong and you can use 4 of these controllers at once. I know this has been said before, but these controllers are going to be expensive. You've got all the buttons of a normal controller, a speaker, a microphone, a camera, a touchscreen, and advanced streaming capabilities. That's a lot to put into one controller. So it's definitely going to be pretty expensive to buy a single one of these controllers. And I know in the back of everyone's mind, there's a little concern that this is going to be unreasonably expensive to buy several of these controllers. And I think the solution to this is that Nintendo only intends for people to buy one Wii U controller for their console. So, if this is true, and all of this is pointing to one Wii U controller per console, they're going to have to pack another kind of controller in with the console when it ships. We've seen that Nintendo is intent on still using the Wii Remote and making games that take advantage of the Wii Remote functionality. However, I don't think they're going to pack a last generation controller in with the current generation console. The Wii was backwards compatible with the GameCube, but they didn't pack GameCube controllers in with the Wii. Aside from the fact that the Wii Remote will be last generation hardware when the Wii U comes out, we have to consider the price of the Wii Remote and how expensive it is in its own right. When the Wii launched, the Wii Remote was $40 and the Nunchuck was $20. Then when the Wii Motion Plus came out, that was another $20, so that brought the grand total up to $80 for the complete Wii Remote experience, for those of us who bought it early on. So I think they're going to want to cut down on this price, even though it has come down and the individual parts are cheaper now, and they've got the Wii Remote Plus that incorporates the Motion Plus into the Wii Remote. I think they're going to want to cut down on this and make the overall package of the console cheaper, because they've got to include that in the value of the console when they're packing it in, and the necessary accessories that people are going to have to buy. I think they're going to want to make those cheaper as well. I think one of the problems of the Wii was that by not packing in a standard controller with the Wii when it launched, they kind of forced the idea of motion controls onto people who weren't really willing to try something new and kind of dismissed it as something that was not for them. So people who weren't interested in that just didn't buy it. And even worse possibly than scaring away some of the potential buyers of the Wii was that I believe they scared away some of the developers who just didn't know how to approach this new kind of gameplay and how to develop for it. There were a lot of games that benefited from motion controls and pointer controls. However, there were a lot of games on the other consoles that just seemed to play better with a standard controller. I've been thinking for a while that Nintendo should include a more traditional controller with their next console, and since it appears that the Wii U will need a simpler, cheaper controller as its companion, it seems like this is definitely a smart move. Since the Wii U is fully capable of doing everything that a standard controller needs to do, they really only need to include one simple wireless controller with a button layout similar to that of the current Wii Classic controller, but I'm not sure if that has two shoulder buttons on each side, so two shoulder buttons on each side that can plug directly into the console to recharge. It's just something simple that would serve the purpose of playing traditional games and not be too expensive for people to go out and buy or play alongside the Wii U controller, which is going to be expensive if people had to buy multiple ones of those or multiple Wii remotes. So this controller would be able to play a wide variety of games, just not with the added functionality of motion controls like the Wii remote or the screen on the Wii U controller. To those of you who are kind of ticked off about the idea of not being able to use multiple Wii U controllers at the same time, I understand. A lot of us were thinking that it was going to revolutionize split screen for games like shooters and Madden, where you want to keep certain information for yourself, which is why some people think that split screen is just like an archaic form of gameplay and it's all about online, but local multiplayer will always be important. So people were thinking that this was going to be the answer to that. So I know that's disappointing for people, but I think we should start thinking of the Wii U controller as something a little bit more like the balance board. Not exactly like the balance board, but a cool addition, but not something that completely defines the whole console experience. There's a lot to learn about what else the Wii U does, and while it seems like this is going to be one of the big sells, if not the biggest sell of the console, it's not everything. So there are definitely going to be some cool single-player experiences designed around the Wii U controller, and even if you can't connect more than one Wii U controller at a time, the idea of having a Wii U controller while 4 other people are using other controllers and playing a standard game with 5 people, local multiplayer, is still going to enrich that gaming experience. So I think we should look on the bright side with this, and things are going to be good, I think. So if you liked what you saw, please subscribe and tune in next time.